Slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum, feeling groovy.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to the bridge, and we are moving into episode 98. Jessica, you're number 98. We love it. Thank you for coming on with us. And Sandy, will you start us off with our quote?
Everybody, I think, in the world probably knows who Dolly Parton is. She's a legend of her in her own right. What she says that we're going to share with you today is, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. And I think she's probably remade herself several times in her career, and she is still standing. That woman is pretty amazing. So, yes, if you don't like the road you're walking, start paving another one. That's your wisdom for today.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, Jessica, welcome so much to the bridge today. I'm glad we finally got you on.
I know.
Really busy life.
This is an honor.
Thrilled that we made it. So why don't you tell us a little bit, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jesica Glover, and I'm originally from north of Seattle area. And I now live in the heartland. I'm in Wichita, Kansas. And I started out as an educator. I worked mainly in literacy with middle schoolers, and then I resigned from my career to marry my husband. And at that time, I was working with highly capable fifth graders. So it was a completely other end of the spectrum, because I was working with low readers, and then I was working with highly capable kiddos. And I stepped into an already made family. So their family mom had left, and I stepped in as bonus mom, and I had 6 children. And I literally felt like Sarah Plain and Tall living out on the prairie. I remember standing in the upper floor of our 5,000 square foot house, which I'd never lived in a house that big before, looking out over the wheat field. And my husband would say, "Doesn't it kind of look like the ocean, just like in the book?" And I'd say, "No, it does not. It goes on forever and ever." Being a girl of the mountains and the water, I was overwhelmed by the space.
Oh,
And the color of the water was not the same, right?
No, it's not yellow.
Tell me the age range of your kids.
Okay, so originally when we got married, they were 8 to almost 13. So now we are 18 and a half all the way to 23 and a half.
Oh,
and
wow.
We actually have a number 7 now, and she's 9 and a half.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Girls, boys, give us the girl boy
We
ratio.
have half and half, actually. And our daughter together made the girls uneven. We've got 4 girls and 3 boys.
Oh, that's funny. So, Sandy and I are both moms, and I started with 3 boys, and then I told them all when they were leaving the house, "I need 1 girl from each of you." And they obeyed. So now the granddaughters, the only thing they ever obeyed me on. So now I have 3 girls and 2. I have 3 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. So
that's so great.
Tell us
I ended up with his and hers family. We didn't end up having one of our own, but my husband had 2 daughters, and I had 2 daughters and a son. Tony considers himself the rose among the thorns. And we had a very lively group, 5 of the kids together, and I can't even imagine 7, but that's great. I'm glad you took the challenge on. I remember flying into Kansas, or we were driving by Kansas to get to Missouri. I think we landed in the Kansas airport. I can't remember, but Richard Folks, he originally came from Missouri. I remember looking at Kansas and thinking, man, that is flat territory. So it had to be a big adjustment from going to Mount Rainier to Kansas. Yeah. Oh, man, that would be a big cultural shock, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And people are just different in general. Like, it's not just the land. It's just people are hardy out here, and they drive a long ways rather than taking an airplane, which still confuses me.
Yeah, they can probably drive they can probably drive in the snow.
Oh yeah. Yes, they can. Yep.
Which is not true for us. So I've got a great question that's coming up in my mind. So
Okay.
Jessica, you get to start. But
Yeah.
what is you might get two, but you could push it and have three. But what are the three major leadership skills that you've gained from being a mom?
Oh wow. Um, okay, so this is a funny one, but it comes up as my first one, like knowing what I need
Oh
to stay
yeah.
healthy on
There.
all levels.
Yes.
Making sure I ask my husband so that I can get it.
Smart woman.
And making sure to I don't know if this is something that it probably got reiterated, but number 3 would be making sure that I communicate clearly to my kids what the plan is, because all kids thrive on structure. So even though they act like they don't,
Right.
that's one of the things that they've actually come back to me and said is being clear on expectations and what we're doing.
Good. I like all of those, and they all apply not only at home, but they apply in corporate life too.
Yeah.
Clarity is very important, and so is asking for and getting what you need, making sure you do that. Okay, Sandy, what are your 1, 2, or 3? You don't have to.
Well, I would like to ask you, Jessica, how did your kids receive you when you came into the storyline? Because they already were established with their dad. I know from experience that is not an easy position to find yourself in. Tell us about that.
No, it's not at all. And just to preface, I came in as a professional who'd worked with and I had kids that were becoming middle schoolers, thinking I knew a whole lot, having done 11 years of teaching. And here I was 33 years old. Actually, I think I was 34, and I knew a lot, but living with them is a whole nother story. And they were really, really sweet and great for the most part during our like engagement and all of that. But then when we got married, they were like, oh, I don't really want to be a part of this situation. And who are you to come in and are you trying to be the replacement? Like, what are you trying to do? Yeah. And so I even had one who, when I got pregnant with our daughter, she refused to talk to me for 2 months. And I had to work, maybe this adds to number 4 thing that I learned, to learn that my kids, even like my students, they're not my friends. And so if they don't receive me, it is going to be okay, but I need to find my own identity and validation outside of my children, because boy, were they not.
They're not covered. Yeah, you have to be your own self-validating machine. And the other thing I'm going to say is you learn to be a change manager fast. Talk about change.
Yeah. They talk about the success rate of second marriages, and it's tough. It's tougher than the first marriages, evidently, because you got all those other things that are part of the storyline. My 2 stepdaughters, unfortunately, they were still living with their moms. So they were coming and doing regular visitation with us and that kind of thing. And we had a lot of family bonding going on. But I wasn't there to replace mom, and they were understanding that. And even though that wasn't your game plan, those kids still felt threatened. Yes. And if you had unresolved issues with their mom, that was carrying on into the relationship with you. Good news, Jessica, my husband and I are celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary in May. So it can be
done. Congratulations.
Done. So, add that to your heart and know that it can be tough, and you can still get through it onto the other side.
Yeah. Thank you. That is encouraging.
So I've been married for 56 years. I got married in 1970, so we're celebrating our 56th, I think.
Wow, that's amazing.
We're still together, and now we're kind of I'm semi-retired, and he's more retired, and we're learning to actually live with each other.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And the lucky thing we have a big enough house that we can go in separate rooms,
Have a break.
really. And communication wise. But I think the thing as a mom, I learned pretty early because my oldest was my strong-willed child.
Mhm.
It's
That was
just
mine.
he was James Dobson's book, The Strong-Willed Child. And I always told him that I became a principal because of him.
Okay.
I learned how to be a principal. I learned how to say no and mean it. And, and I remember going out into the playground of my elementary school, standing off bullies,
Wow.
because I knew how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
leadership
You were
totally is it's an inside job from the mom out.
Mhm.
But you're right. The first thing you need to be a leader around is yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you can't change anybody else. You can only change how you respond, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's a tough one to do because it's, especially when you got a difficult kid that you're working with. Yeah. It's like this child, I don't know. Where am I going to go with this? Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it all starts out with what we're thinking in our head, about ourselves, about the world, about the people around us. Yeah.
we have to project the right energy or else none of it happens.
Well, and yesterday we were talking to one of our guests about the imposter syndrome, and I'm betting that you felt that very strongly when you came into this family.
Oh, yeah.
And feeling like I'm supposed to be a mom here, a mom figure, and how am I going to do this? I mean, that you went in with both feet, girl.
Yeah. 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 I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I got there and was like, now where's the manual? I need it right now. I didn't have time to read it.
No,
I bet you can write a book.
stand on it so I can get to the top shelf. But other than that, yeah. So tell us, kind of do the pathway from kind of your Seattle days in Kansas and where you are now with leadership and helping other people learn.
Yeah. So I put the teaching, I resigned from my position in Everett School District. And then I moved out to take I was feeling burnt out actually. And I had enrolled in the University of Washington's principal program to become an admin. And I decided when I moved to Hays, Kansas, that Fort Hays wasn't necessarily the university that I wanted to go to. And so I decided to take off some time to make my house a home and to learn how to be the matriarch in our home and how to love my children, because they're actually not just my husband's birth children. We have adoptions that are international. And so there was some things going on with that I was learning a lot about. And I knew that I wanted to write a book, and I had it in my heart, and it was a curriculum that I had been using in my classroom. And I just called it Speaking Words of Life in Your Classroom.
Wow.
So I ended up recertifying in 2018 for my national boards, and I needed to fulfill a project. And I was like, here is the use I need to finish this book during all of my baby's nap times. So I got that book done, and I did it as my project in the recertification project. And I just published it on like KDP, the Kindle version. So on Amazon. And I wasn't going to tell anyone except that my husband invited me to this entrepreneurial meeting in California. And I was going as the good supportive wife. And one of the prerequisites was that we had to go live on Facebook for, I want to say it was at least 30 days. And we had to share the process of our own personal growth and like what was happening inside of us by taking steps to like be out there, like put yourself out there and show up every day.
Yep.
And so to me, I was like, I got to have a reason. So I came up with all sorts of like Sandy, like quotes and like things that God was actually teaching me through the process. And my whole like imposter syndrome of mom. And then I'm like, I'm not really going to be an entrepreneur, but I'm following through, like all this. Well, long story short, went to this meeting, and in the middle of it, I felt like God said, you guys are here for you and not your husband. You are going to become a business owner. And I was like, what? My husband heard the same thing, and he was in the restroom. So he came back out and we conferred, and I'm crying because I'm like, you heard that too? So I was like, what am I going to go into business about? And I ended up getting involved with this organization called 100X, Kingdom Entrepreneurship. And they had this inner circle. And one of the things was to take a speaking challenge. And I ended up meeting my future business partner in the challenge because they asked us to go live and share one thing that you have to fulfill in your lifetime, or you will have died. Like in vain is a little too strong.
Yeah.
Without a legacy.
Yeah. Your mission.
And it was, how do I work with Jesus as a missionary in public education? And that's what I had written the book about. And so I was like, I have to do this. And she said something similar. So we caught each other's attention and ended up launching right before 2020's crazy shutdown.
Yeah.
We launched a business together and did a Facebook challenge. And long story short, we ended up parting ways. I started Kingdom Educators and just went live on Facebook, turned into a podcast. And then I did a little bit of consulting work and started to do professional development.
Mm-hmm.
And then this last year, and I love it. I've been having homeschool, private school. I've done a little bit with public school teachers, and I've got some training from Jamie Winship on identity, because that was my whole focus with students. And so working with teachers on identity is my next coaching. I'm really excited because I just got certified. But yeah. So, well, sorry.
Oh, no, I said, that's great.
Yeah.
And you know all about learning, because adult learning is so aligned with kid learning.
Yes.
And to be a good adult learning teacher is very rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and teachers not realizing how important it is that they know what they're wired for and what they bring to their classroom is actually really important, because they're trying to call out the golden students, but we need to know what we're bringing. So like, Sandy, you mentioned in my story of coming to Kansas, like I really had to learn how to kind of shift things. And my name that I've learned through some identity coaching and teaching is I'm a radical culture shifter. And I'm like, oh, that's how I could come into a chaotic home and like create a meal plan and communicate what we're doing and create systems for, you need chores when you have that many children. I mean, you can need chores anyway, but
organization. Big time.
And now I'm realizing I'm a contractor for a literacy school that works with dyslexic children on the side. And this is all my garb right here.
No, I love it.
One of the things I've learned is while I'm here, I'm telling a story that's shifting the atmosphere in our state. And it's like, oh, that's part of my name. And so that's my journey is still being written.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
one of the things that popped in my mind when you said that, I was burnt out, so I decided to become an administrator. And I'm thinking, girl,
I know, bad idea, right?
Oh man, I see a pattern here.
Just keep jumping, right?
Oh man.
Dives over the cliff and flies. Absolutely. That's awesome.
My daughter actually does classical conversations. So our family's faith-based too. And so is Sue. And so understand hearing God speak to you or having him lead you in ways that you weren't expecting to go. I remember when she started homeschooling, and I was concerned because when I was a kid and people were homeschooled, the kids had a tendency to be socially awkward. And I tell you what, this program, the Classical Conversations that she's been using, the community is amazing. They have developed such a community, and the kids meet together. So there's time for social things going on, and the parents are able to support their kids in a way that's beyond anything I've seen before. It's very cool. But that is neat that you are being available for all of these different opportunities for people, no matter what they're doing for their children. You're there to help them be successful. That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're an administrator, but in a larger fishbowl than a school.
Yeah.
You're doing this and that and taking care of that. Tell me your word again. A radical, what is it?
Culture shifter.
Okay, good. Because we have a series called, what do we call it, Sandy? Community builder. Community builder. And so I'm going to kind of put you in that category because you're building community.
Yeah.
And you're doing it in a radical way, and it's absolutely fantastic. And it is a leadership skill. I'm finding we have talked to some people who just, oh, Sue, I'm not a leader, I'm not a leader. And then when we talk to them, I say, no, wait a minute. One word for that is a servant leader, but another one is, a culture, people. Yeah. In fact, we just came up with a new series that we're starting.
Ooh.
We're calling it Pioneer Women.
Ooh, very cool.
I think you fit into that box too.
I'm definitely out there on the plane.
If you're
Yeah, all women go through that imposter syndrome, but especially pioneer women.
Yeah.
You've broken many glass ceilings or whatever you want to call them. And I'm hunching you've probably been doing it since you were a kid.
Yeah, I actually have been thinking about, there's all sorts of things. I mean, we could talk all day, right? About all these
Right. That's why we're here.
And I think the important thing that I have to keep reminding myself is that, God takes us on all these interesting paths, and at first it doesn't look like they connect, but he wastes nothing. And so somehow all of this connects together. And then every now and then we're like, oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And
You
start
start paving another road, right? Exactly what Dolly's talking about.
Yeah, and then all the roads connect and start to make sense. I remember when I first I stayed home for like 12 years with my kids. Then I went and taught at a Christian school.
Okay.
And the Christian school was not, it didn't really have a principal. Our bulletin boards got evaluated instead of, and so I went into the principal's office one day and said, what about if I came in and gave the teachers feedback on their teaching, and he said, yes. And my mother about fell over. She said, how did you have the nerve to go in there and ask him that? I said, well, I don't know. Anyway, I stayed assistant principal there for 9 years. And then I had to leave because there was no place to go there, and I had my credentials by then. Yeah. And I remember people going, Sue, why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? And I said, God's calling me. There's a bigger audience out there that needs Christian educators that, and so it was like a reverse journey, but it's important to listen to God's voice.
Yeah. What's the name of your book again, Jessica?
Speaking Words of Life in Your Classroom.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And I actually since then have written Grab Your Hope Goggles, Vision for Kingdom Educators. And it's more of a devotional for Christian teachers. And the other one, Speaking Words of Life, there's no Christianese in it. It's just some quick, it's real small, real like grab a hold of these lessons. This is how we help instill identity in students. So like, what is the etymology of your name? Like what could that lend itself to meaning for the call on your life? Because we all have gifts, talents, skills, and abilities that this world needs. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And it really goes all along with the newest brain research about building those new roads in your brain, the positive roads and not sticking to your old default,
And like Sue pointed out earlier, it's been interesting how we've called things out that we see in somebody that we're interviewing, talking to, and they pause like they're surprised. And it's sometimes our job to call it out on what we see in people, correct? Mm-hmm. Be aware of their strength that they have. But as an observer, we can say, hey, I see this in your spirit, or I know this is something that is a strength in you that they may not see themselves.
Yeah. Which is so powerful and encouraging, right? Encouraging, edifying, and comforting. Yeah.
So I have two questions. I don't know if they're related.
Okay.
One is, tell me about how you use your intuition or that God voice in you and working with others. I mean, are you good at it? Are you learning how to get bolder?
I feel like I'm always growing. I won't say I've ever arrived, but gosh, lately I sit across the table and I interview people for podcasts. around people's stories around dyslexia, actually.
Oh,
And having gone through the identity coaching, I'm thinking through that frame on like, what is it that, Lord, what is it that you want to speak to these
Right.
people? And
Right.
yeah.
what can I give to the situation? Is it, what do you have for me to deliver, basically? And
Right.
so one time I had a young gal, probably late 20s, and she was sharing a really heartfelt, sad story of experiencing learning in a way that she wasn't getting it. And she's crying and I'm crying. And I felt like in the moment, just identifying with her, having empathy. But then when we got to the end, she just was like asking questions about, she wished she would have gone this way with her life, and now she's gone this way, but she actually finished college and she was so proud of herself. So just stopping to tell her how amazing it is that she finished, but
Yeah.
then encouraging her, like she talked about seeing this guiding light, like leading her even to the center where we work at, to share her story and to connect. And I just encouraged her to, like, wherever you're at in terms of what you believe about, I mean, Jesus is talked about as light all
Yeah.
over the Bible. And so I just took that and ran with it. And I was like, I am coming from, like a Christian background, but that light to me has always been a guide.
Yeah.
And I love that you followed it and are asking really great questions. And I just encourage you to keep asking. And I invited her to lunch anyway, but it's those kind of things, like, how can I be encouraging? Or one time I got to pray for a mom. She was going through, she like told me in the hallway on the way walking away from the interview that she was going through a divorce, and she asked me to pray for her, which I was like shocked.
Right. Right.
And so just being available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Sue and I have talked about the fact that there have been points and times where we were in a public setting in the school district, but we would have people come in and close the door and say, I need prayer, and we would pray together, and
Yeah.
like you said, being in a public setting, that is looked down on. But I tell you what, I think has made a difference for the leadership and where we were at the time, right? And it gave us wisdom, and it gave people who felt faith was important to them to know, to have that trust for us, because they knew where we were what we were operating from. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
And
you are
doing that shifts the atmosphere in the school, so they benefit, right?
absolutely.
That's so good.
So my second question is, can you give me an example of when you were little and you were a radical connector or radical
Culture shifter.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a brief memory. I remember that in situations where it was kind of tense, I would all of a sudden have a laugh attack, and then everybody would start laughing. But they're like, "Why are we laughing?" And I couldn't tell them why, because I didn't know why. But just like shifting the shifting the whole
Oh,
scene.
good. We talked to a gal yesterday who is an improv teacher, and she teaches adults and teams. And she said she always when in improv, when you hit a wall, you shift, and it's usually a laugh. So
that's good.
you were doing improv.
Yeah. And I've learned since that when you laugh, you have to let go of something. And I'm like, that makes sense. You let go like a heavy, you like
Yes.
have to let it off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what is next? What is on your scope?
Well, I am getting ready to figure out how to package identity coaching for teachers through Kingdom Educators. And then through the center that I work here at, I'll be wrapping up my contract work for their podcast in May. And I've already begun introduction to dyslexia training based on the science of reading. And so I'm going to learn practical strategies to work with students. So I go through an internship, but it's like super part-time.
Sure.
And so building Kingdom Educators is kind of my thing I don't want to let go of.
Sure.
I feel it's really important for teachers to know that they're not alone as we're on mission with Jesus. And I partner with Christian Educators. They're a national organization, and I do a little bit of writing and things for them. But I just really enjoy that community aspect of encouraging one another in this work. And I just feel like God's waking up all these educators.
Yes, the tide is turning. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't this way 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
It-
It's exciting. Yeah.
yeah, there's
It's very
revival coming.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And Sandy,
So
were you in education? Because you mentioned
Yes,
praying.
I early childhood education was my realm in my career. I started out as a director of a daycare or a child development center for 13 years for a church setting. And then I got hired on by the public school system, and I was the coordinator for Head Start ECAP
Oh, wow.
for 19 years. So I had kind of a vast stretch of different things that I did. And it was interesting because I remember feeling guilty leaving the church setting to go to the public system, feeling like, am I leaving behind the mission I'm supposed to do? But it was so clear that it was time for me to move. And it was such a good result
Yeah.
because I ended up with, God set me up for my retirement because I didn't have retirement at the first place or health insurance or any of that kind of thing. And I gained that kind of stuff. And God gave me opportunity over and over in the public sector, and I would not call it God, but I would take principles that were part of God's kingdom and I would present it to my staff and just not put the name on it, but the principles still stood. And so, I felt like I got to be myself in a lot of ways that I didn't expect to be able to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's powerful.
yeah,
That's really
well,
good.
and we talked about yesterday. We had some really interesting guests on yesterday, and then you get to follow up with being wonderful guests. But we talked about the difference between guard posts or rules and standards. And as a Christian, we have standards. The guard posts are gonna, we don't go in and teach a curriculum. We are the curriculum, and then we adapt it accordingly. And that is so powerful. But you have to know how to teach.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to manage a classroom, just the basics. And it's just really it's wonderful what's happening. I mean, so how can we help? Can we help promote your podcast?
Yeah, I'd love that. So mine's called Kingdom Educators with Jesica Glover.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just a little bit ahead of you. I'm like at 120, I think.
But where do you post it? Do you post it?
I'm on like every channel.
Okay.
So I'm out of Podbean and I just shoot it out to Spotify and Apple and all the things. So
Right.
We're on Substack mainly.
Yes.
And then we're
YouTube.
Access to YouTube.
Okay.
And then Sandy posted on Facebook, and then it goes to LinkedIn. So
okay, awesome. And I'm on YouTube and LinkedIn as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I just haven't broached the world of Substack yet until you invited me. I was like, oh.
We started there, and it was just, I don't know, it's worked for me. And then Restream works better than Zoom. Zoom doesn't work for me. Okay. I think it's operator error, but
that's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Jessica, we jumped in on this too because we had talked about it for a while, and finally we just did it. And then we didn't know a lot of what we know now, but if you hesitate too long, you miss that window of opportunity. And exactly what you're talking about, you felt like you were commissioned to go. Go to the family that you joined, go to different places in your career. And my text is trust the Lord with all your heart, lean not unto your own understanding, acknowledge all your ways, and He will direct your path. And He has done that for me over and over and over again. Yeah. And I do that in your story too.
Yeah.
She is the epitome of your experience with entrepreneurship. Is just the epitome of entrepreneurship.
Right.
But I mean, what's happening? Okay, I'm jumping. Whether or not I have a backpack on my back, I'm jumping.
Right.
There are certain traits and certain personality propensities that make entrepreneurs who they are.
Yeah.
Courage.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of faith when you see nothing happening.
Moving forward in fear. It doesn't mean you're without fear. It means that you're moving through it, right?
We're kicking it in the face.
The faith is the
Yes.
substance of things hoped for. So those hopes don't disappoint.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you back to your family.
Okay.
Tell me about, do you have any budding entrepreneurs in your with the kids, or are they, what are some of their leadership traits?
Yeah. So actually, my 9-year-old, because I've had her full time, my other kids I've had half time. She really has been watching mom, and she loves to make videos to instruct on how to do things.
Oh, very good. Very good.
So she'll even set her animals up, her stuffed animals up, and
Yeah.
do demos and things. Because I did do some MLM work for a little while to see if I could help fuel Kingdom Educators.
Yeah,
And anyway,
that's
but
good.
my
She's
other ones,
already doing curriculum.
I know, right? She should. She has said, Mom, it would be so cool if we could open up a school for dyslexic kids like me someday. And
Oh,
that
wow.
would be
Sure.
crazy amazing.
Could happen.
knows- Yeah. Well, and that's how we all learn, is what does our family need, and then we move that way. And she probably has lots of good structures that she's put in place that she knows. She's probably great at teaching it and tutoring.
Yeah, that would be a whole nother set. She surprises me every day with things she says that I'm like, I didn't even know you picked that up. And then let's see, my 18 and a half-year-olds, one of them lives full time, just all of us like recently with us. And entrepreneurship isn't necessarily something that's been on their mind. It's been something that I've really encouraged and shared. My lights just went out. That's a little wild. There we go. That was weird. Sorry. They haven't shown. I think that there's like a piece with security that maybe my adopted kids, or just in general, they've had so much changing in the other household. I don't even know how many times they've moved. It's just, I just wonder if part of that plays into how many risks can I manage in my life without feeling like things are out of control. And I know living in the same house, like I can feel like, oh, wow. But think about your parent moving plus going to a different house every other week. I'm like, wow, that's got to be weird. I did not grow up like that. So
no, but I'm thinking too, with all that you have taught and are doing with dyslexia, there are pieces of control that the kids have to know that too. They're, in order to learn, you need to be at Maslow's safety place.
Yeah.
So they're managing that. That doesn't mean they don't have the propensity to.
That's true.
The opportunity and the passion comes, that they might, because they're young, be willing to leap. But there's lots of other. We have a gal. She lives in Alaska, and she has written a book called Where's My Flock? And it's sort of like a Myers-Briggs, but she uses birds.
Oh,
and I haven't taken the test yet. Sandy, have you taken the test?
I haven't done it yet.
We don't know what we are, but it's just fascinating, because she says you can learn how to talk to people because of what you think they are. And, so I'll send you her link too, because she's an interesting gal, but yeah.
Well,
So-
I think life goes in cycles. There's many times where I thought I've grown past something, and then I find that I have to go through it again, maybe just not as often. And I think when we figure we've got it all together, that's when we're on dangerous ground, because we actually are going to find ourselves going around that mountain again, but we can learn something new or strengthen what we already had learned. And I think that's part of life. I think that's life.
Yeah. I was reading an article on LinkedIn this morning, and it was about, you're not the smartest person in the room. And basically she was saying, you need to bring in people that have other points of view, that can see the other side of the elephant, because otherwise you won't meet the needs of your public. And I, boy, you've got a household full.
Yeah. Well, and most of them have moved out now. But even this morning, I was meeting with one of our founders for our organization, and I was like, it's that malleable brain. Like, I can always learn from somebody, and there's always another perspective I haven't thought of. We were doing some strategic planning for one of our next seasons for the podcast, and I was like, wow, I don't know. It's fun to get challenged in that way because it stretches us to think outside of the way we've been thinking, to your point.
Yeah, but you really need to know how to facilitate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you've learned that from the bottom up with so many kids. You know, you're an expert facilitator, I'm sure. So I'm going to ask you.
Better on some days than others, right? Yeah, we all have that. We all have that. We can have our days that are just perfect and other days that
Well,
maybe are a little
maybe not at home, but maybe at work. So I want to ask you, you have a piece of advice for somebody who's in the thick of things.
As an entrepreneur, as a mom, or both?
Wherever when you want, wherever God takes you.
probably all,
Yeah.
probably
Wow.
included in all, right?
Man, I think one of the biggest things I've been learning lately that has really stuck with me is these questions around, because I think sometimes we get afraid to ask God about things like, why is this happening? And why isn't always the greatest question. But like, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do?
Right.
I think those are like the biggest things that I have found very comforting because he's always wanting to talk to us. And I know even when things happen that we're like, well, we don't deserve that. We go down this road pity party kind of when things are hard, because whether it's momhood or entrepreneurship, there are so many challenges. And I would say staying at home, I think, is the hardest job. But in that, like I said at the beginning, I think the battle is in our mind, and the way that we perceive ourselves, the way we perceive our circumstances and other people can be a game changer, or we can be stuck. And so when we're sitting with God, reading the word and asking him to bring truth to, like, show us more and give us revelation, I just think those questions are always good to keep in mind as it relates to our own experience. Like, God, what do you want me to know about this kid? What do you want me to do now that I know that? And it kind of simplifies things where we're asking for wisdom.
Yeah, it is wisdom, insight, wisdom, and knowledge, you know, going up the Bloom's ladder. Absolutely. But what do you want me to do? Because the doing part is so important.
Yeah.
The action.
And
Okay.
sometimes it can be as simple as thinking differently, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. It isn't always as hard as we make it. You're right. And then, you know, we have to not, culturally, we have to not worry about what people think.
Yes. Yes.
That's always my hard lesson, is not taking things personally. So, okay. So our final question is, what is one takeaway from our conversation today?
Oh, wow.
And so you get to start, then Sandy, and then I'll kind of close.
Yeah. Well, I feel more aware of how God has been like doing neat things. I haven't really been thinking about my testimony very much. So I'm like, wow, Jesus, you do amazing things in our life and you weave things together. And then I've just enjoyed getting to chat with the both of you. I feel like you're very encouraging. And like I was sharing about calling out the gold, I feel encouraged and edified and comforted. So thank you. And it was fun to hear a little bit of your stories too. So thank you.
Welcome.
Sandy, take away.
Well, I love the courage that Jesica has shown throughout her life. And I don't think she even realized it was courage that was going forward. But yeah, the choices that she's made based on what she was felt she should do, the leading and feeling like God was leading her to these different places and then doing it. Because like you said, Sue, a lot of times we can know in our heart and we don't ever move forward. And I think you put the Jordan didn't separate until they put their toe in the water. And you have done that over and over again. And that's a great way to live life. It's scary, but it's also a great way to live life and have an adventure, because I think life is supposed to be adventurous.
I have, what's coming to me right now is Esther. And how God prepared her, even, you know, in the circumstances it didn't look good, but she kept moving forward. And there is, God has prepared you to do great things, Jesica.
Yes.
It has only just begun.
Thank you. I received that. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us today, and we will find you on your podcast, and then we want to invite you back again. So,
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
oh, you're welcome, and I'm glad we got you. We finally got you, and you're just
Grace.
you're Jessica with one C. That's
Or
memorable.
one S.
One S. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah, one S. I'm sorry. My dyslexic side going over.
No, you're fine.
All right. So we need you to hang on because we want to debrief when we close. Okay. So bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for being with us today. And thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, for joining us too.